Hey you guys, it's your girl T, and I want to go ahead and shout out Casey Roberts and VH1 Access. So if you guys have not heard, I got another story coming out of our favorite state, wretched ass Florida. So what happened is that there are two Florida men who decided to basically go to a Halloween costume party, and they were dressed as Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman. And the Trayvon Martin had blackface and a big, blood stain in the middle of his chest, showing where he had been shot. And this picture went viral. People were really upset. A lot of folks were saying this is not cool, this is not funny, why would you do something like that? And since it's happened, the girl who posted it, she's received so much backlash that she was fired from her job. And a lot of black folks kind of trip me out trying to defend her, but what they're not realizing, like I said on Facebook, is the girls are racist too. These are some of the comments that she will post on Facebook about black people and black girls. So I don't feel bad for her getting fired from her job. She had children to think about and she had kids to feed, then she should have thought about that before she posted a picture. Now, do they have the right to dress like Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman? Well, this is America and they do have the right to do that. But just know that just because you have the right to do something doesn't mean that you should necessarily do it, or doesn't mean that you're not going to get backlash. Just because you have the right to do something, that doesn't make everybody else null and void from, basically expressing their disdain for what you did. He's not the only one. Portia sent me a picture today of another man dressed like Trayvon for Halloween. It's like, I don't understand how people think it's funny to make fun of somebody's death. And it's sadder, some of the comments that I've read online with people, not only taking up for the costume, because you have the right to say that you like the costume, but people still blaming Trayvon and calling him a thug. I just think the whole situation is just insane. And once again, of course, it's sparking a whole racial debate. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some of those comments right now. And what I find funny is that one of the two men, particularly the one that was dressed like Trayvon Martin, he's a 25-year-old man named William Feline, something like that, but he is a felon. What I find funny is that this man wants to talk all this shit about Trayvon, but he himself is a felon. He was charged in June for felony grand theft auto. This man has a criminal record as long as my arm, but you want to sit here and go in and talk about Trayvon and think it's funny to make fun of him and call him a thug. Make sure your own shit is clean before you start talking about somebody else's supposed criminal behavior, because last time I checked, Trayvon Martin wasn't a felon. What's even more sadder is that VH1 Access also sent me this picture of this black girl, and basically she's dressed like a slave. She has a noose around her neck. She's holding a basket full of cotton, and then she has like her white friends around her. And I understand it's Halloween. I understand it's a free country and folks can do what they want to do. But I just think that when you disrespect your ancestors like this by dressing up like a slave and, making a mockery of lynchings and getting hung and everything that came with slavery, I think you need your ass kicked. This is self-hate at its finest. You could be anything in the world. You could be any costume. Why would you pretend to be a slave with the noose around your neck? You know how many people died so that way you would have the freedom to basically even maintain those friendship with those white folks that you're trying to front for now? You know how many people died so you could have the freedom to be able to wear that costume? It's just kind of sad that people just don't have any respect for themselves nowadays, and they just find everything just funny. Would it be funny for a bunch of kids to dress up like, dead Sandy Hook children? No, it wouldn't be. Would it be funny if I decided to, put on whiteface and then be Anna Nicole Simpson? No, it wouldn't be funny. It's just, it's not tasteful. And that's what's sad nowadays. It just seems like people don't have morals anymore, and they're not empathetic to anybody else's plight. Everybody wants a few likes on Facebook, a few retweets. It's like motherfuckers out here just are on some attention whoring stuff, and it's sad. We just live in a society full of damn attention whores. It's kind of sad that folks just want to be attention whores. They have nothing else to live for. They have nothing else meaningful going on in their lives, so they want to do things for shock value. So anyways, go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the entire situation. How do you feel about the girl who is dressed like a slave? And how do you feel about people dressing up like Trayvon Martin for Halloween? Let me know your thoughts. All right. Deuces.